Hello, LinkedIn makers and movers. Today's guest is a master of LinkedIn video. He dominates LinkedIn and discovered his purple cow early in his LinkedIn journey. And for those unfamiliar with the purple cow, it refers to Seth Godin's concept of standing out in the sea of sameness. This guest's purple cow is vibrant shirts and sliced fruit of all shapes and sizes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tim Davidson, the founder of B2B Riz. Before I hand the mic over to Tim, let's scroll through his feed. We'll uncover some interesting insights. For instance, Tim, his professional journey began as a lacrosse player in the English Premier League, and his initial venture into business was a modest eBay store. After lacrosse, Tim transitioned into marketing, dabbled in paid search, research, social media, and around this time, he started investing in LinkedIn, starting with sporadic text posts around his learnings in social PPC. Early topics included Gary Vee, Legos, and the initial engagement was modest, but he persisted, gradually enhancing his content with imagery and carousels. And his career took a notable turn in how we know it today when he joined Directive, a B2B marketing agency. 2 years into his tenure, he posted his first video critiquing gated content. And these were actually TikToks cross-posted to LinkedIn, and he continued to produce those videos. The videos improved, the shirts became more eccentric, and the fruit slicing commenced. Concurrently, Tim was running video ads for Directive, promoting gift cards for demos. And while the gift cards attracted attention to Directive, the audience stayed for his cutting fruit and his videos. And over time, the video content surpassed text, leading to increased engagement and growing follower base. Tim expanded his creative endeavors, producing influencer videos for brands like Hockey Sack and Sedozo, including a parody of Bob Ross, the iconic 80s TV painter. And last year, he launched his own consultancy, B2B Riz, focusing on helping B2B SaaS brands with ABM focused LinkedIn ads. Most recently, he's co-hosting an awesome podcast with Taz Bober called Notorious B2B, a blend of Saturday Night Live and TMZ. But most importantly, Tim continues to slice fruit and share his insights on B2B marketing and has a loyal following of around 25,000, which contributes to B2B Riz's clientele. And if that's not the epitome of LinkedIn famous, I don't know what is. So let's give a warm welcome to Tim Davidson.
Wow, you really did your research.
Welcome to the LinkedIn Famous Podcast, the show where we get real about what it takes to build a personal brand on LinkedIn that gets real business results. We're talking about driving revenue from a personal LinkedIn profile by sharing real and authentic stories and points of view. I am Brad Zomick, your host and the founder of Spectrumer, a personal brand consultancy that helps founders and executives get LinkedIn famous. Join me for unfiltered conversations from the trenches of LinkedIn. We'll meet CEOs, go-to-market executives, subject matter experts, and company employees with blockbuster LinkedIn results. We'll unpack strategy and leave you with tactical advice to grow your personal brand and demand for your company's products and services. All right, LinkedIn hustlers, it's time to level up.
Thank you for having me. I am very, very excited. I do have the hat, by the way. I got a little early because we met in person. I was at the Exit 5, one of their events in Boston. So that was a lot of fun.
Yes, it was. That was a great event. So is there anything about your background that you want to double click on?
I think one interesting part is you mentioned, talking about the Gary Vee stuff. I started posting on LinkedIn. So I did start posting on LinkedIn in probably 2019-ish, but I was not consistent. I tried like 3 times to go, I would do like a month, didn't see whatever traction I was looking for and just quit. And then it wasn't until like 2021 where I just started to be very consistent. And that's when things really, really changed for me.
All right. I guess we'll dig into a little bit of that as we get into your journey. I'm kind of curious. Could you tell us something about yourself that the audience couldn't learn from you on LinkedIn?
This is super weird. I have very flexible fingers. I don't know if this is a video podcast, but I
video
all the way back. My fingers I haven't done it in a while, but my fingers are very flexible.
That is, for people who aren't watching this, it is a little disturbing. The top of his finger is almost touching the back of his hand. I have long fingers and I cannot do that. You have a lot of bend.
It was a cool trick as a kid. It was fun as a kid.
Another question for you. What's something that people assume about you based on your LinkedIn presence that isn't true?
I would say this is probably the biggest one, is that I'm outgoing, that I'm extroverted to an extent. I'll go to B2B events a lot, and if I don't know you, I just won't come up to you. I am very introverted in the sense, like, I like being alone. I like doing things by myself. I'm very scared to pick up the phone and call someone. Even though the videos may make it look like I'm very extroverted, I am the complete opposite.
What I've learned from this podcast is that you sometimes just never know. Some of the most prolific creators actually are very similar to you. That it's draining to talk to people, or they have a fear. But the cool thing is, I guess for you, is people just come up to you at events. And I think similar to me, I saw you at the 8 to 5 event with like, "Where's Waldo?" type of thing. Tim Davidson, I'm like pointing at you like I know you, but we didn't get to know each other. So I guess that's kind of a interesting dynamic that you probably have at events.
Yeah, and it makes events actually good for me in the sense of, like, because I used to go before LinkedIn, I would go to events, and I won't go up to someone and just, I'm not that person. It's not me. I won't go up to someone and just kind of start a conversation. Like, if there's a lunch table, I won't just sit at the table and be like, "Hey, I'm Tim." It's not my thing. So luckily, I know people from LinkedIn now, so I'm used to B2B events. If I know you, or I've seen you and we've kind of conversed, I'm great. Like, I'll talk to you forever. It's just, if I don't know you, it's hard for me. It's really, really hard for me. So it's been huge to be able to meet people from LinkedIn in person, because it's helped make events actually fun, because without it, I would just be sitting in the corner by myself.
That's pretty cool. So I asked you about events. So one of the things that you used to do at events, and I don't see it too much, is you would show up and you have a cardboard, have it say something kind of funny about like B2B issues or a joke. How do you make that work? Were you having, a tripod doing it all by yourself, or do you have to ask people to take a picture of you or a video?
Yeah, so that's, funny enough, is I would be probably too scared to ask people to, I was too embarrassed, really, to ask people to take a video of me, take a picture of me. I just thought it was weird. So, to your point, I'd bring a backpack every time. I'd have the cardboard. I tried to hide it every time, which is hard when it's the cardboard, big cardboard sign. But I'd bring a tripod. I'd bring, portable mics. So, like, I didn't do it for everyone, but I tried to get to the point where it'd be like a mic'd up scenario, because when people do come up to you, talk to them, you can hear it on the camera. But yeah, I'd post up the tripod at a certain length, then try to get the sign and kind of go over there, and I'd do it all by myself.
Wow. All right. Well, I guess now you don't have to do that as much by yourself, right?
When I do it, and I don't do it as much because some events didn't like it. But also, it was something I was trying out, and it was good for the company I was working at. But when I do it, I still do use the tripod. I'm still odd about it.
Yeah, I will say, it's a lot of courage just to do that in general, because probably people are like, "What is this guy doing?" Right? It's funny that you're willing to do that, but 20 seconds of being like, "Hey, could you be a favor for a second, take a picture?"
I mean, when I was doing it, my stomach was in shambles. Like, I was just very, very nervous to do it. It was only like when I'm standing there for 5 minutes that I would kind of get over it. But it was very, very nerve-wracking for a while.
Well, good for you, man. And kudos to you for putting that out there. It paid off. A lot of people remember those pictures and video. So
it was good. That time frame. Now, to be fair, I did it on purpose, kind of like a whole campaign where I went to like 12 events in a couple months. So I was doing it every week, and it was a good run. It was a lot of fun. It helped my personal brand. It helped the company. I think it was just a very interesting time.
Awesome. Well, let's rewind a little bit back to the beginning of your LinkedIn journey. What was the motivation, inspiration in the very beginning?
Yeah, the very, very beginning is I don't think I saw, especially in 2019, I don't think I saw a lot of like big personalities on LinkedIn that I noticed, or like saw like how that affected, whether it was business or just your personal brand in terms of like getting, sponsorships. But I remember before that, I was very interested in the whole YouTube scene where people are getting brand sponsorships and like, uh, um, not TikTok, but Vine, where people are getting brand sponsorships and building like this huge following and things like that. I was just very interested in the whole like influencer personal brand type of content. And I was also in business. So like, I was like, all right, well, why don't I try creating content on LinkedIn? I know it could help me in my professional life. So I just was kind of messing around with it. Just thought it would be something to do. And in 2019, when I was doing it, I was working at a company called local to where I live now in Rochester, New York. And it was just about my paid search kind of insights and things like that. So I was trying to like, I was just testing it out, just trying to see if I could get a brand sponsorship or like get a following for some reason. I don't know. It's something that was just very interesting to me that this whole internet was like, you could build your brand, like you could be a brand. It was just very interesting to me. So I just started dabbling with it.
And you mentioned in the beginning it was a bit of a struggle. You gave up a couple of times. When did things start to click?
I think I was stumbling over what to say. Like you mentioned, like Gary Vee quote. Like I was just saying, like there was my what I was talking about was just kind of all over the place. I would talk about like paid search insights, but I would also talk about like the Joe Rogan podcast and like how Tesla. First, I think I had a post about like Tesla's. I forgot what it was, but it was something about Tesla or whatever. And it was just like, it was very broad. I didn't know what to really say. So it was kind of all over the place. Within that, I just was like not getting whatever traction I was looking for. It was just not worth the time for whatever reason. It's a bad mindset, I know. But that was my mindset at the time. It started to click when I started being very consistent in 2021, because I started to see, I don't think I had like a ton of engagement, but I started to get a couple direct messages from people at companies that I thought were, I looked up to essentially. Like there was, I did a post around LinkedIn ads. I think it was LinkedIn conversation ads specifically. And then the ABM manager at Gong at the time DM'd me asking me a question. And to me, that was so cool. I was a PPC specialist at the time. That was so interesting to me that I could post on LinkedIn, someone that I looked up to at a brand at a company that I was like, that I thought was so interesting. And they would ask me a question because of content I was posting on LinkedIn. Like that to me was really like the traction I needed to keep going. And then over time, that just kind of evolved into different things and figuring out what I like talking about, and being a creative outlet too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you mentioned the evolution, right? And I would say the shirts and the fruit, those are things that are memorable and provided recall and probably attracted followers. And I think for a lot of people out there, especially if you're in the service business, there's not much of a brand moat. So I'm kind of curious where the idea came from.
So I think one of the reasons, in 2021, as I said, it started being consistent. For the first probably 6 to 8 months, it was pretty much all text and image posts. And within that, I learned that there was something to, putting your personality into it. So like even just the way I would write, it was just a little bit different because I'm not the most, I'm a very weird person. Just to be honest, like I'm a little bit weird. I do some things outlandish, to an extent. And I found that putting my personality into it, adding little things that people can be, I don't know what you call them, but like they can recall, like the shirts, like the fruit cutting, like are these little things little like Easter eggs within posts that people would recognize or be a recurring theme. I figured that out kind of early within those text posts. And then when I started creating videos, there was just so many different ways to do that. There was the shirts, there was the fruit cutting, like you mentioned. The reason that actually came about was because I was scrolling through TikTok and I noticed there was like 3 different ways, 3 different kind of videos that I would stop and actually like watch. One was like unboxing videos. One was someone cooking and talking about a certain thing. And then one was someone was actually cutting fruit, but they were just overlaying the text over it. So telling some sort of story. And then they were like cutting like pineapple with like a point of view angle. And I tested all three on LinkedIn. Something like that, talking about like a B2B story or a certain thing. And the fruit cutting just was way better than the others. Luckily, because it's probably the cleanest. The unboxing would have got pretty expensive. And then the cooking was also just a mess. So people started commenting like, oh, cut this fruit, cut this thing. So it was just like this recall that I could use in so many different ways, because there was also like places I could do it. There was certain knives and utensils, cutting boards, and different fruit and exotic fruit, and then the shirts. And it's like, there were so many avenues I could do it with that it just really, it was so weird that it worked out well.
When we talk about like innovation and brainstorming, the takeaway here is the best way is to borrow from another channel or platform. Yeah. TikTok is more B2C. A lot of the best B2B ideas have been, unbeknownst to most people, borrowed from B2C.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like you mentioned the event thing where I was holding the cardboard. I didn't make that up. There's that Instagram guy that stands in New York City with cardboard. He just says like odd things. It's just like, that call should have been a loom or whatever. And I think that was a sponsored one, but that wasn't something I made up. That's something that I've seen, and I just kind of changed it into my realm.
Yeah, I've seen Dave Gerhardt do that a few times
a
long time ago. Maybe there's a lesson here to also, I guess you got to consume content elsewhere to get the ideas, right? So let's fast forward to today. You still have a pretty big presence. You're active. I feel like most of the week, or every time I open up LinkedIn, I see a post from you. How are you approaching your content? What's your strategy and process today?
It's a little different now, just because I have a business, right? So I have to, I don't have to play to that, but I have my own business now, or all the inbound comes from my content. So like there'd be times where I have to ramp up the LinkedIn ad specific content, and that's fine. But my content, it's actually had to shift it a little bit, especially in the last probably 2 to 3 months, because I used to create a lot of videos, which take me more time. But I've actually, unfortunately, found that the reach and the kind of inbound from that is not as sustainable as it used to be. On LinkedIn, it's just, for whatever reason, they're just not doing as well. So I'm starting to do a little bit more text posts and image posts, mostly text and image, and then I sprinkle in some video here and there. It's still working well. It's a different content strategy that I would say is not as creative, unfortunately, because I can't do I can do the videos. I'm like, I have it on my list of the million different videos I want to create. It's just the time to do them is just much less than it used to be.
Video is like the whole realm unto itself, and I've dabbled a little bit. I've done 2 of these, whether it was on Work Style or Lincock. They're hard. What does your process look like? How much time do they consume?
Yeah, so the process, luckily I've gotten to a pretty good process where basically all my ideas, I do have a lot of ideas, so I write them in Apple Notes all the time. And then, so I have like a big backlog of ideas there. And then whatever that idea is, I might flesh it out a little bit more, add some more context to it, bullet points, things like that, maybe write a small script for it, and then figure out what kind of video is it best for. And you mentioned like the fruit cutting, that's one video idea. I've also done just talking head loom videos, right? Like where I'm just talking, screen sharing and talking about a specific thing. I've also done like skits where I'm like, I have 2 shirts. Basically, there's me in marketing and then one in sales. So there's different concepts. There's when I have that idea, which one would it fit best for? And then I kind of pick whatever that video route would be. Like sometimes it's the screen share, sometimes it's fruit cutting, sometimes it would be better in a skit. And then I just start recording. I have those bullet points like I mentioned within the notes, but I just start recording. But the difference here is I'll start recording, I'll be done, I'll start editing, but I know that I'm going to have to re-record because there's a lot of things that either I forget to say or while I'm editing, or it could have been said better. And so while I'm editing, I'll end up putting the shirt back on, putting the cardboard back out, whatever, or the cutting board back out with the knife and the fruit, and then redo some of those parts that I need to, and then edit them back in. The time sometimes it can take 5 hours, sometimes it can take an hour. It just kind of depends on where, what the content is, and if I can get as much as I want to say out as soon as possible.
What tooling are you using? Are you recording from your phone? What do you like to edit with?
I use my phone. So I have a fancy camera. I just haven't used it because I think the phone's better. I actually have 2 phones because one is just for videos and then one's just my regular everyday phone. Because I was running out of gigabytes. Is the main reason there.
Yeah.
And then I edited it all on, right now it's CapCut. I'm trying to switch. I don't have another, but I've been using CapCut for a long time for video editing. I find it easy to be used, but I am looking for some other solution. I just don't have one right now. But I use CapCut for that all through the video app. I do most of probably 99% of the editing on my phone still, rather than the desktop, just because it's less of a step.
I never got into CapCut. For my first foray into video, I used Beat a lot, which are very similar. More recently, I used the script. I like things we can edit by word. Especially if you're doing longer videos, you have, for the podcast, it makes a lot more sense. You have a lot of precision on what you can cut, and it has a transcript. You can edit by transcripts, which is really nice.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I only use CapCut because that's what I started using, 3-4 years ago. And I'm very now I have it I just know everything I need to do with it. And my process is really good there. I'm not stuck on it. I'm not saying that's the best one. It's just that's what I've been using. So I know it. It's just really easy for me. I've been looking at others like Descript and all that. It's just a learning curve.
When you edit on your phone, you said it's really easy. You have a library of content, you've built up over the years. How much recycling do you do these days?
I do recycle. I would say it's easier to recycle the texts than the videos, especially if there's a timely thing. Because when I do recycle, I typically will make a few changes. One, because of it being timely or not, but the other being my ideas have just changed. So a lot of times if I have something that I recycle from a year ago, oftentimes there's a couple of changes I'll make there or test a new different, first line or something like that. I do it. I'd probably say I don't do as much as I should. Maybe once every 2 weeks, maybe twice every 2 weeks, there'd be a recycled one, but it's usually a recycled, but also edited.
When you're doing 5 days a week or more, that's a lot of original content. Yeah.
Yeah. And don't get me wrong, I still talk about the same ideas every time, right? I only have a certain amount of topics that I talk about. So even though it might not be fully recycled in the sense of I'm going back into my backlog, copying it and then doing it, it's probably very similar. It's just reworded. It's just a different idea at the time or updated,
Right on. Let's talk a little bit about commenting. I'm curious for the role that plays in your strategy and how much time you're investing there, how you approach it.
I think it's very important. The amount of time I spend on it depends on the day that you ask me. There will be days I just can't get to it.
Yeah.
I have work. I have a business to run. I don't, I have a kid and all that, right? So I think commenting is super important. It's just sometimes I can't get to it. And when you say commenting, I'm assuming you mean on other people's posts.
Or your own people who comment on your posts, or just people in your orbit that you want to support or engage with, prospect.
Yeah. I try to do it as much as I can. I think it's very, very important. I think it's one of those things where if I want to, if I have something wrong with my business and I need to drum up new business, I'm not going to go SEO or anything. I'm not going to run more ads. I do run LinkedIn ads, but it's more of, I'm going to go on LinkedIn. I'm going to comment more and I'm going to post about LinkedIn ads. And it works every time for me. So it's just a game of like ramping that up. But the comments, I do think, are super important.
Overall, how much time you spend per week on LinkedIn, not including your
Let's
LinkedIn
see.
ads business?
Yeah, I mean, this should only show. I mean, it's definitely one of the things I click on the most within my phone usage. I think that's screen time. I mean, let's see. Good for the week. I mean, not this week's not. I would say the summer's not as much because I'm outside more. But this week it's 4 hours. But I can tell you right now, I've looked at this, and there'd be some weeks where it's 12 hours, 15 hours.
And that doesn't count your desktop engagement either.
No, this is just my phone. Yeah.
Let's shift gears a little bit. Anybody who's creating actively on LinkedIn could probably see a couple of trends happening. Number one, reach is dropping. Number two, we're seeing every time you put up a post now, or a lot of people are, LinkedIn presents you with the option to boost posts. What's your take on this trend of the boost posting and a wider view on LinkedIn ads?
I think, yeah, I mean, on one hand, it sucks, right? Like if you've been using LinkedIn for a long time, you had a certain amount of reach, and then you see that LinkedIn's just making you pay for it now. Like that sucks. Like you're basking in this free reach that's awesome. Like this is what it's been. On the other hand, it's been free, right? So maybe you have to pay, and if you do it right, it's actually not that much. I mean, it's going to be obviously at a cost, but it's not going to be that much in terms of the impact if you built a business based off of LinkedIn ad or LinkedIn content, right? So like if you, and there's people out there that they'll post some content and they can directly see, all right, this post is actually giving me free trials on my website. This is bringing in new business. This is bringing in inbound leads. Putting money behind it to get in front of the exact people that you want to talk to is just a no-brainer. And for a LinkedIn ad, like if you use it like a thought leader ad to get in front of the exact people, I mean, you're talking like a, $40 to $50 cost per 1,000 impressions. And depending on your business, if you're in B2B, that's typically going to be worth it if you're already starting to see that new business come from it. But if you're just on LinkedIn and you are doing it to get followers, or you're just doing it because it's fun, like it doesn't really drive business. It's not the goal of it, and that's fine. It might not make sense to put money behind it.
Yeah, I'm curious what you think about this boosting post mechanism for the average creator. Should people be experimenting with that boost post mechanism, or should they be going to the ad manager?
Yeah, so I've looked into both of them. I looked into like the boosted post versus the campaign manager a lot. There's just such a big difference in terms of like what you can do. Like if you do it through the campaign manager, you have a lot more options for targeting. You can exclude kind of like certain lists. You can track it better. Like there's just so much more you can do than the boosted part. So the problem really is that if you're going to do the boosted part, you don't know what you're doing. So you're just going to select what gives you the most impressions and reach and lowest cost. But that means you're getting in front of the wrong people. So I think that's the bigger issue rather than should you use that versus the campaign manager. But if I had to choose, it's 100% going to be the campaign manager because there's so much more optionality there.
Got it.
But there's a bigger lift because you have to figure it out and set it up.
Hypothetically speaking, I'm a creator. I've been around for a while. I'm frustrated with my reach dropping, and it seems to be impacting broader awareness and leads. How would you advise people to get started with LinkedIn ads? And what is the threshold for getting started? When does it make the most sense?
I think it's something, if your business, has a certain ACV. So, again, this wildly depends. But like if you have an ACV of, let's just say 8,000, LinkedIn ads, if your buyer's there, it's pretty much a no-brainer. Especially if you're already creating content on LinkedIn, right? And so you have content that's driving business. Now you can run that content, that organic content, as a thought leader ad, which is basically just boosting it within the campaign manager. It's a no-brainer to get in front of the exact people. The like things you need to know is like who your buyer is. So like you can actually pick out, all right, this company list or these company industries, these company employee sizes, because you can do all that within LinkedIn ads. The job titles, all of that, you can layer that on and then run that to the exact people. I would say that's the biggest, understanding who your actual buyer is so you can actually set up the targeting. It's going to be the biggest kind of hurdle there. And then obviously it's the content, but if you're already creating content and you've seen it drive business for your company, it's a no-brainer.
And let's say I want to run a pilot. Is there a budget that makes sense and a time frame?
The caveat here is if you have like content that you're already running, right? Like, so you know that's working, you could spend pretty low and the good returns. So like I would probably start with maybe, 1,000 to 1,500 a month to the exact people, with a thought leader ad, and just so you can get a taste of it, just see what's happening there. And if you have it set up correctly, you could see the view conversions and the click-through conversions. And so you can actually see, or if you even in your link, in your post, if you had the link, you can actually edit it and add a link with the UTMs. So you can see the kind of what the traffic is, how many people are doing something. I think 1,000 to 1,500 is a good place to start, so you can actually get a taste of it to see it. And in terms of time frame, I would give it like a month. What those early indicators look like. I'm not saying you're gonna close a huge deal for $1,500 in the first 30 days, but you could see early indicators and be able to decide, okay, we should keep running this, or like this is working well. We can see the metrics here. This is something we're getting good engagement comments from the right people. Like those early indicators you'll see within 30 days for sure.
Maybe just to level set for anyone listening who's not too familiar with the different formats, can you just quickly explain the difference between a thought leader ad and a regular ad? And also maybe you can elaborate on what formats seem to be working best.
Yeah. So a thought leader ad is essentially it's your organic content. So and basically just putting money behind it and boosting to the exact people. So it's going to look like your organic content. The only thing difference is going to say like promoted by your company, like right under your title and name there, your name. So that's the only difference within that, right? There's tons of other formats for LinkedIn ads. There's image ads, video ads, document ads, all these different kind of content formats. The difference there is going to come from the company. It's going to be the company profile. It's going to have that company profile's logo, and it's going to say from that company, and then it's going to be the video, whatever that is, and you can make the changes within the platform. The organic content is going to come from you, your face, your profile, and then it'll say promoted by whatever the company is, and then it'll be the same exact post that you did organically. In terms of like the formats that are working, I'm a big fan of video. Video works very, very well for thought leader ads. So does image and text. But I would say if I had to choose one, if you have a good video and it's working well organically, that'd be my first choice. But again, if you're not a video creator, you don't have a video that you're posting and your images and text are doing really well, that's great too.
Question around measurement, and you mentioned a few different ways to see if it's working. LinkedIn in general has historically been hard to measure attribution, and that led to the rise of self-reported. I'm curious like how that applies to the paid side. And you mentioned you can put UTMs in a link and they work, but like I've also heard kind of conflicting stories about often they don't work. What are you seeing? And how do you get the best precision on whether things are working or not?
So the answer is to measure everything you can, and look at it in every way possible. So there's like I mentioned, you can edit the link, you can edit the post, add a link with the UTMs. That's ideal, right? That'll help with the conversion tracking. That'll work to an extent. But there's also people that don't want to get cookied, and there's people that will not click on that link, but they'll go to your profile, then click on your website from there, or they go to your page and click on the website from there. So then LinkedIn, you can actually set up view through and click through conversions. So you can say on my website, if someone submits a demo page and they land on this thank you page from the demo, you can set that up within LinkedIn and it'll show you view through. So someone viewed your ad and then submitted this form within a certain time frame, or someone clicked on the ad. Doesn't mean they actually clicked on the link and went there, but they clicked on it. Maybe the next day they went to your website through Google and they submitted it. They'd call it as a click-through conversion. Another way to look at it is you can actually, within LinkedIn, you're running the ad. There's something called the companies feature where you can go to the companies feature and it'll tell you what companies are engaging with your ads, had paid impressions, paid clicks, paid engagement within a certain time frame. You can do 7, 30, 90 days. So especially if you're targeting, you're doing like ABM or you're targeting a specific target account list, you can look at the companies within a certain time frame, let's just say 30 days, and did they convert on your website? And you can see that company had a certain amount of impressions, clicks, engagements from your ads. Another way to look at it is just, if you have like third-party platforms like, like a hockey stack or anything like that, or if you have attribution platform, obviously those will help too. But the idea is to look at everything. And, to your point, self-reported attribution, if you have that obviously helps too.
That was a good lesson there. We talk a little bit about the impact, right, on your career and it's like fueling your business. What were maybe some of the more unexpected impacts of LinkedIn and your investment here over the last few years?
I think the friends I made, all my business friends came from LinkedIn. The people I talked to outside of LinkedIn ends up, except for the ones that, I've made friends just over, from high school and all that. All of my business friends are from LinkedIn. None of them worked at the company I worked at, for the most part, right? So I wouldn't have met them if it wasn't for LinkedIn, which is really, really interesting to me. Especially like the events and like, it's so interesting for me there. Another thing is because I was creating videos, I've gotten a lot better, probably more confident, not better, but more confident in speaking on video one, but also like just communicating to others. I think when you create so many videos and you edit your video and you watch what you say and you watch all the ums and you watch all the mannerisms you have and all those things, you're almost critiquing how you speak to people through video. And so you can almost like not simultaneously, you can almost subconsciously adapt how you speak and the confidence that you have because you're watching yourself day in and day out. It's a very interesting thing, but I'm just more comfortable on camera now. So like, I have no problem sending a Loom video to my VA instead of like trying to edit it. Like I'm just more confident in my communication style.
That's awesome. It sounds like it's been gravy. Has it been all positive or any downside?
I mean, I would say overall it's very, very positive. I think the downside would be I do spend a lot of time on there. And I've gotten a lot better at this, but there was a point where I would get really antsy if I did not post because I was trying to be very consistent. I saw the traction and I was probably, posting 5 times. When I say post, like I would probably post 5 times a week, but if I didn't post on a Monday, I would get really antsy. And I thought that was really weird. I'm much better at that now. But even that, like sometimes I stress out about not having a post. It's a little weird from that sense.
They do say social media can,
yeah.
Mostly they talk about the context of Facebook and Instagram really mess with people's heads, and to some extent that's probably true for LinkedIn.
Oh yeah, I mean, I definitely spend way too much time in there too. But I mean, there's definitely bad.
We're reaching the end of the episode. We do a little LinkedIn lightning round. A few questions, rapid fire. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. What is a LinkedIn trend you wish would go away?
The comment gating. So people saying, all right, here's an asset. To get it, you got to comment on my post, like it, and I'll DM you it. I don't have a huge problem with them. My problem is like how overused and how the bad actors now use it, because now they just make up stuff. It's just like, and it's like a terrible asset, or they don't give you the actual asset if you do comment. It's like everything in marketing. Marketers root and everything, and they have ruined it for sure.
Yeah. It just takes us back to the days of like gated content. The worst version of this is when they send you a gated landing page, put in your email address. Yeah. And I'm like, dude.
Selfish. So like the audacity there. Crazy.
All right, next question. If you were running LinkedIn for a day, what is the first thing you'd change?
Probably the bots. If they can figure out how to get rid of the comment, like the AI comments, that's what I meant. If they can figure out that, like, some of those are very, very, you can tell. If they can figure out a way to kind of get rid of those, I would do that. I would try to.
Yeah, they're basically just rearticulating whatever you just said in the post. It's frustrating. In its current form, do you think LinkedIn is overrated or underrated?
I mean, it's still underrated because you can still get a lot of reach from like low followers, and it's underrated because unlike all the other platforms, the B2C first platforms, you don't need a lot of reach because you're in business, you're in B2B, right? For the most part, you're in B2B. So you don't need to get in front of a ton of people because you're not selling a $7 product. You're selling a much larger size product. The other thing is it can help you in your career. So like it's underrated from if you own a business and your career. Like it's so easy to like before I started my own business, I excelled in my career because I was creating the content too.
Yeah.
Like it was more than just the business part of it. So like there's two parts where I think it's just so long ramble short, 100% underrated.
That's a good point on the visibility for all the people who are not necessarily trying to drive a business. It could lead to promotions and advancement. So I agree with you 100% there. If somebody asks you, like, if they're just getting started on LinkedIn, what's the one nugget of advice you tell them, when they're trying to get started?
So I'll give you two answers here. The first one, everyone's gonna be like, "Oh, it's lame," but it's true. Just start. Just create. Just post. Just comment. Just do it now, because you'll get better at it. You just got to start it. I think a lot of times, and I've done this too many times, is where you just sit and you analyze and you say, "Oh, I'll start today," but I don't in 3 weeks. And the best time to start is now. The other answer is obviously start now, but create as much content as possible, because I think that's the best way to learn what you want to talk about and what works and what doesn't. You be very consistent. You do it once, twice a day if you can, and just because that'll give you the learnings of like what works, what doesn't. This headline works. This videos work. Why? Like you'll see the comments, you'll get the engagement numbers, you'll see what works and what doesn't very, very fast.
That's great advice there. Last lightning round question: who are you following and learning from on LinkedIn these days?
I'm gonna give my co-host a little plug here. Taz Bober.
She's good.
She's good. Landing page stuff is excellent.
Anyone that you enjoy following?
No, everyone else sucks.
All right. Well, that's fair. That's fair. You have to be particular. All right. Well, we're at the end. Tim, thank you so much for joining us today. Is there anything exciting happening at B2B Riz or anything else going on that you want to plug, promote?
No plugs here. Just, if you ever had a question, you want to talk, just find me on LinkedIn. You type in Tim Davidson. I have glasses on, profile picture, blue background. Yeah, I'm always open to have a conversation.
All right. By the way, Tim has this cool podcast. If he doesn't want to promote it, I'll promote it for him. It's called Notorious B2B, and it's with Taz, who we just mentioned. They are a pretty funny duo, and I've seen a few episodes. It's worth catching. And Tim, thank you very much for your time and your insights and perspective. And until next time, let's stay connected.
Thank you. See ya.
you enjoyed this episode, follow Brad and Spectimer on LinkedIn for hot takes and tactical executive branding advice. For the readers in the audience, subscribe to LinkedIn Famous on Substack. And if you really loved this episode, leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or the podcasting platform of your choice. Until next time, stay bold, authentic, and keep on creating.